There's a lot of confusion between the Floyd Rose 1000 series and the Floyd Rose Special. Are they both made in Germany? Do they match the quality of an original Floyd Rose, or are they just big hunks of junk? So in this episode, we're going to break down the actual differences between the Floyd Rose 1000 series and the Floyd Rose Special and help guide you to the right trem. But stick around to the end, because I'm going to break down why each trem serves a certain purpose. All right, this is the Axe. Let's go. All right, guys, welcome back to the Axe Guitar Show, your one-stop shop for tremolo tips and tricks and everything metal guitar. We have another episode of the podcast. Grab your coffee because this one's going to get kind of deep in the details and clear up a lot of confusion that goes on with these two tremolos. And, you know, I really hope you guys are doing well because I'm super excited to talk about Floyd Rose tremolos. It's like what I love to talk about. And today's super important because it comes loaded with a lot of confusion and just lacks clarity. It seems almost like a rule of thumb that like tremolo companies or companies that make trems keep their specs and their materials like a secret from the customer. Like, I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, you sometimes have to like really deep dive to find how tremolos are made, what they're made with. And then Floyd Rose, until recently, didn't list the materials of their trems on the website until, like I said, just recently, which probably added the confusion over all the years, right? But today, we're going to get to the bottom of the real differences between the Floyd Rose 1000 series and the Floyd Rose Special, with the hopes of guiding you to, like, the right trem for your setup. And I mean, these are probably some of the most popular trems out there that you see the most. I guess I shouldn't say popular, maybe just so the most in abundance. But you know, I mean, because they're extremely popular and abundant, there's probably a reason why people use them and why the manufacturers put them on so many guitars. So I think it's important to nail down each one of their purpose, because one might be better than the other, but they each serve a different purpose, in my belief. And we're going to go over that. I'm going to go over the differences in both tremolos in detail. So I added timestamps to the bottom, to the description here, to the important parts of the video, so you can jump around and revisit a section if needed, because, well, you know, I love you guys. Now, the categories where these trems differ the most includes materials, which is broken down into base plate, saddles, tremolo block, and I think those are the most important ones to talk about. And then continuing on, availability and overall utility, and that's where the juiciness is going to come from. So make sure you stick around. And for those of you that are watching on video, you can see this little graphic, which will guide our talk. You know, I'm a graphic guy, and it makes it easier for you. Getting right into the materials used, starting with the 1000 series. And when I say 1000 series, that really is a blanket term, but what we're talking about is the 1000 series original style. So not the original Floyd Rose, but the 1000 series that has the shape, design, dimensions of the original. So it looks like it. In fact, if you, at first glance, you wouldn't be able to tell if it's an original or not unless you flipped it over and saw one of the old stamps. Okay. It's been known that the 1000 series uses the same materials as the original Floyd Rose, which when we talk about the three subcategories, which are base plate, saddles, and tremolo block, the 1000 series has a hardened steel base plate, hardened steel saddles, a nickel-plated brass tremolo block. Yeah, you heard that right. The same materials as an original Floyd Rose, okay? Which makes you scratch your head and, you know, ask, Nick, you know, why would I get an original Floyd Rose, not just a 1000 series? Because it's cheaper, you know? And I get it. I hear you. Trust me, I hear you. But I would also reply, if it were that easy, everyone would do it, okay? Here's why. Check it out. Yes, the 1000 series does indeed come with phenomenal materials. But here's the catch. It's made in Korea. It's made and QC'd in Korea. Yes, so it's made in a Korean factory, not in a German factory or by Schaller. That's what makes an original Floyd Rose an original Floyd Rose, besides a couple different small things. Now, this means a couple things. One, the 1000 series is not master built by the Germans, right? But also, you know, a lot of people hold stock, a lot of customers hold stock in the fact that originals have been made in Germany for so long and deliver great quality. So that really props up the price of original Floyd Rose products, the actual German-made original Floyd Rose. The cool thing is you can get a 1000 series on a guitar that delivers the same materials as an original Floyd Rose. Really, like that's the truth, you know? And just know it's made in Korea. Now, there's circumstantial, anecdotal evidence that Korea doesn't QC or make them as well, but you know, that's definitely person to person. I have a 1000 series and it works great. Okay, moving on to the Floyd Rose Special, and this is where it gets interesting. Because the Special has the same dimensions and basic shape of a 1000 series and an original Floyd Rose, but has way different materials. And I mean, if you were to set all these trims up next to each other, remove the labels, blah, 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 it'd be hard to tell them apart because, I mean, the same dimensions, they look the same. Each one one has different materials. One's made in a different place. Things like that. So getting to our materials and subcategories for the Special, which are base plate, saddles, tremolo block. The base plate of a Special is spot hardened steel, meaning that the whole thing isn't tempered or hardened steel, only spots that Floyd Rose has deemed necessary to be hardened steel, which I would assume would be the knife edges and where they come in contact with other strong metals, right? So no, you're not getting with the Special a completely hardened steel base plate. Now getting to the saddles are made of zinc alloy, not a steel. This is a really weak metal. I mean, it's an alloy. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but these blocks are not going to be your typical hardened steel. And you know what happens with this, and the concern of this is the alloy is way cheaper to make. So the zinc alloy is cheaper to make, so they put it on the saddles, but then they use hardened steel screws for the saddle screws. Now, this poses a problem because I've talked about this all on the channel. You know, you need to use like metals or the same metals when two metals join each other. It's the same thing with the studs or when screws go into the block. So if you have zinc alloy saddles and hardened steel screws, and you're screwing the hardened steel screws into the saddle, there's a good chance those zinc alloy saddles are going to strip over time. And the analogy I like to use is you have two cars, right? Two cars that weigh the exact same. They have the same mass, and they're going the exact same speed, and they go ahead and run into each other. They're going to run into each other, and there's going to be the equal force that hits each other. It's almost like they're running into a wall, right? Boom! They hit each other and probably, bounce off each other equally, stay in the same spot. Now, with the Floyd Rose Special, if you got zinc and hardened steel, it's like having a car with X mass and then having a car with double the mass, and they're going at the same speed. That bigger car with more mass is going to just plow through that other one, right? That's really why we push for, in a tremolo system, you use the same metals throughout the whole thing. All right, and lastly, the tremolo block on the Special is not brass, despite what you may have heard, okay? The block is actually zinc alloy, just like the saddles. And what does that mean, okay? What this means, zinc alloy, as stated before, is a softer metal, a less homogeneous metal. I mean, it's an alloy, and an alloy is a combination of metals or non-metals. So it's mixed together in a pot, formed, okay? Meaning that if you were to take a slice of the tremolo block, you'd have a different composition of a slice from a different spot. It's not as homogeneous, right? Meaning that it's not going to last as long, okay? It's definitely not going to it's not going to provide the same sustain as a straight brass block or, even a steel block. So keep that in mind about the tremolo block. It is a zinc alloy trem block. So there you have it. The differences in the materials between the Floyd Rose 1000 series and Special, okay? So now we need to shift our gears into our next big difference, which is availability, which I love talking about because it kind of secretly speaks to the Floyd Rose's strategy as a company and gets to the why, the reason they make these two different trims, okay? So we'll start with the 1000 series. These trims are almost always not available as an aftermarket product. I say again, you cannot just go and buy a 1000 series original style from Floyd Rose website new. You can't do it. There are a few exceptions, as they sometimes sell a burnt chrome version, but you really can't just go and buy these because, here's why, they are an OEM product, meaning original equipment manufacturer. So what does this mean? Floyd Rose has struck a deal with several different guitar companies to have the 1000 series outfitted their guitars stock. So you can buy a Floyd Rose 1000 series, but you got to get the Jackson guitar with it. Or you can buy a 1000 series, but you got to get the Sun Valley Super Shredder with it. Okay? So they put them stock on their guitar because they mass produce them in Korea and then sell them to these guitar companies as an OEM product, right? Now, what's interesting about this is, that's a pretty good strategy to, one, get your trims on multiple different companies' guitars, and then two, what you can do is when you put a Floyd Rose 1000 series on a guitar, it doesn't drive up the price exponentially. Like if you compare a guitar with an original Floyd Rose that comes stock or a Floyd Rose 1000 series, the 1000 series is going to be usually dramatically cheaper. So the package is more convincing to the customer, right? So I think that's Floyd Rose's strategy with all of this, making an OEM product that they put on their guitars. But that's really the nuts and bolts of the availability of the 1000 series. You got to buy it on a guitar new. There's secondhand options, of course, from Reverb, everything like that. But that's the gist. So in sum, I'd say the 1000 series is probably less available unless it's on the guitar you want to buy. All right, moving on to the Floyd Rose Special. This tremolo, on the other hand, is in abundance and out there on the market and can be bought aftermarket as a standalone product anywhere from around $70 to probably $100. It does vary. You can see different prices on Amazon. There's direct retail stuff on Reverb that's pretty cheap, but that's about the range there. Now on the Floyd Rose website, there's several different options, all the different colors, of course. And then they came out with the new Vibe series, which has these very extravagant colors like a blue, green, coffee, champagne, I think it was, and which are pretty cool. If you're looking for a certain color that matches the, theme of your guitar, the Vibe series might be for you. The Floyd Rose Special, these are found on some stock guitars. Like Schecter sold some that were hot rodded for a while. It was an actual special. So it's not purely an OEM product like the 1000 series, but it does come stock on a lot of guitars. You'll see it on a lot of the X series for Jackson. Those are almost all Floyd Rose specials. So why did Floyd Rose start making a special in the first place? Well, basically the licensed market got out of hand, right? They sold licensed for their Floyd Rose design, the Fulcrum design that they originally came out with. And so a bunch of companies were making cheaper Floyd Rose with less, with zinc alloy, cheaper materials, but they were sucking up a huge chunk of the market because people were like, I can buy a trem for this cheap, let me add it. Floyd Rose is like, maybe we made a mistake. We should probably start making our own at that quality level and price point. So then they started making it, and I mean, I'm assuming it's a successful product. So many guitars have a Floyd Rose Special, and you can buy it aftermarket, so that's nice. So the Floyd Rose Special has high availability, and I guess you would say accessibility as well. All right, so now, lastly, this is where we take what we know about these trims and get practical, right? This is the juicy info that I'm glad you stuck around for, because when we look at these trims, what's the utility of them? They're two different things. Why doesn't Floyd Rose just make one trim? Why do they make several others? What's the utility? What's the angle? And what if I were to tell you, bear with me here, what if I were to tell you that I think the Special is the most practical trim for a lot of reasons? Would you believe me? Let me know in the comments. Would you believe me? Well, let's talk about it. So starting with the 1000 series, what's its utility? I mean, it's not an original German tremolo, so why get one? Well, the answer lies in its packaged value. That's what we talked about earlier. When it's included on a guitar as an OEM, you can get some pretty phenomenal guitars with this trim that won't break the bank. And, this is so important nowadays because things are so expensive. Guitars are ridiculously expensive. And, the thing is, you're going to be getting all those quality materials that we talked about in this trim on a stock guitar already put in there, hopefully set up correctly. And I mean, it's kind of a good deal. Some good examples are the Pro Series from Jackson, and then also the Fusion guitars from Harley Benton. I mean, those guitars you get under $1,000 with the 1000 series trim. And I mean, you can get things like roasted fretboards, roasted necks, phenomenal, pretty good pickups in there, great body designs, great finishes. So it really rounds out the Floyd Rose 1000 series really rounds out the package and keeping the price as low as they can And I really think that's the angle of the Floyd Rose 1000 series. You know, you look at all the guitars I just listed. If you would put an original Floyd Rose on that, it would jump the price up like $1,000. A good thing to do would be to go to Jackson, the website, and shop by series. Look at like the MJ series, the Concept series, the Pro series, X series. See which guitars have a special in a 1000 series or an original Floyd Rose. You'll see the ones that have the 1000 series compared to the original Floyd Rose are significantly cheaper. So go ahead and do that. All right, now let's shift over to the Floyd Rose Special, which we've already established. Lesser quality, won't last as long. It's cheaper, but why even own one if it's not as good as the original or 1000 series? What's the point? Like, is this trem even made for guitarists? And the answer is yes, it is. And I'll tell you who. You would be amazed at the amount of people that comment on my channel like, man, I wish I had the money for a Floyd, or I wish my guitars had a floating tremolo. I'm saving up for one. Like the guitar I have my eye on has some type of tremolo. This is where the Special comes into play. Like that's the market, and that's the opportunity for Floyd Rose. That's why they make it. It's the cheapest tremolo that Floyd Rose makes, making it very low barrier to entry within the trem market. And that's just one piece of it. I see the Floyd Rose Special as a stepping stone. So you want to get into the Floyd Rose, or you want to get into the tremolo game, right? Special is pretty cheap. It's under $100. It doesn't jack up the price of guitars. So you can get a Floyd Rose Special, use it, see if you love it. If you love it, upgrade to a 1000 series or an original. I mean, it's going to have the same bushings, you'd have to throw the different bushings and studs in there to match the metals of whatever new trim you'd put in there. But the thing is, it is a direct swap with all the other Floyd Roses because it's the same dimensions, the exact same dimensions. So I don't think the Floyd Rose Special is a bad thing. I think it's a good stepping stone for people looking to get into the market of tremolos, or if they go with the Vibe series to get a certain color. Keep in mind the materials aren't that great. You could also replace some of the materials. You could get a new trem block, new saddles. I mean, you could if you happen to get a Special with a good base plate, just build on it, right? I think it's an opportunity rather than saying Floyd Rose or Floyd Rose Specials stink. It's like, yeah, but could be an opportunity for others. I think that's what's important between these two, and they both serve a purpose. But now I want to hear from you guys. Do you own any of these trems? Which one is your favorite? Let us know in the comments. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope it helped clear up all this confusion. If you like the content, go ahead and hit subscribe below, or if you're listening on audio, review, like, all that stuff wherever you get your podcasts. And I just got to thank y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. It means the world to me. Let me know what else you want to talk about. I'm here. All right, guys. Later.